Critical thinking. Can it be taught? It's a skill, it's a habit, it's a gift, and can everybody learn it? I pulled out the definition of thinking from the dictionary of the American Psychological Association. Here it is. It says, a cognitive behavior in which ideas, images, mental representations, and other hypothetical elements of thought are experienced or manipulated. In this sense, thinking includes imagining, remembering, problem solving, daydreaming, free association, concept formation, and many other processes. And it goes on. Thinking may be said to have two defining characteristics. A, it's covert. That is, it's not directly observable, but must be inferred from actions or self-reports. So thinking is happening inside our heads. And you can't see if somebody is thinking. And you also can't see what somebody is thinking. That's what A means. And the second characteristic, B, it is symbolic. That is, it seems to involve operations on mental symbols or representations, the nature of which remains obscure and controversial. Well, it emphasizes again that it's a process that is unique to us. So what is critical thinking? The definition of the American Psychological Association Dictionary of Psychology defines it in the following way. Critical thinking, a form of directed, problem-focused thinking in which the individual tests ideas or possible solutions for errors or drawbacks. It is essential to such activities as examining the validity of a hypothesis or interpreting the meaning of research results. What is the difference between thinking and critical thinking? There were a million of interviews, lectures, TED Talks, books on the topic of critical thinking. Oftentimes, you get some definition, you get a list why this is important. I have rarely, if almost never, seen a clear, structured guide of how to teach this, or a simplification of what it is. So let's start with my simplified view on what critical thinking is. Thinking is inside my head. Critical thinking involves letting the thinking out into the world. That is speaking, drawing, writing. And this bringing it out into the world can also happen if you're alone, but it involves yourself being your own discussion partner. So for me, thinking happens intrinsically, and critical thinking involves the outside world. And this bringing it out of my brain involves speaking, sketching, writing. And that is how I see it in a simplified way. And that is how I teach it. Can everybody think critically? And can everybody learn how to think critically? I am of the opinion that not everybody can think critically and not everybody can learn it. But there is a way how to teach it. And with teaching in this case, I mean encourage the development and the nurturing of this habit, behavior, skill to let grow what is already there in the students. And as my thumbnail shows it, let them talk, let them sketch, and let them write. And not only let them, make them. Make them speak, make them sketch, make them write. Why is this the way to teach critical thinking? Critical thinking involves dealing in an analytical way with an argument, with an information, with a thought. And that means asking, is the source of this information reliable? Is the thoughts around it, the arguments, are they biased? So again, in a simplified way, it is to challenge what you think of a certain thing. If you challenge yourself about a certain statement, argument, observation, fact, feature, this happens with asking questions. So now in the role of the teacher, that means asking questions to students already challenges them and requires them to think critically. You don't have to invent the wheel or figure out a course or a specific concept of how to teach critical thinking. No, it doesn't matter where you meet the student. I'm sitting in the lab here and I would ask my students that come to the lab questions. I would not give them answers if they ask me a question. I would first ask them, what do you think about it? Where does this come from? What piece of information do you need to feel comfortable answering this question? And the same is in the lecture hall or in the seminar. Seminars are structured in a way that the interaction, discussion, and the involvement of the student is more encouraged, for sure. And also in practical courses, this is more encouraged because the student does something. In a lecture, it seems, it's more one-sided, the lecturer talking and the student listening, which is a little outdated because you're all aware that lectures can be done in a very different way, and a lot of people do that in a very good way. But what else is helpful in a lecture is to always trigger the thinking in the student by asking them questions about the topic, getting their ideas. And here it's important to listen. It is very important to not expect the right answer. So especially university and the teaching environment should be a place where the talking, the sketching, and the writing can also be on the keyboard electronically, should be encouraged at all times. Critical thinking means being challenged, but also challenge yourself. So this challenging yourself in your own thoughts, that's hard. And that's why I believe it is not something that everybody can do. The first step is to let the thinking go out. So that means communication, talking, I reiterate, sketching and writing. We'll get to the sketching and writing part, but let's stick with the talking. It is key to allow the students to give their thoughts. So ask them questions, ask them not only facts and do not only ask them the questions for the right answers for the exam, but ask them what they feel about it, what's their opinion, what they have heard or learned or read in that aspect from other sources maybe. So it will be always interesting to have such conversations. And it triggers thoughts also in the silent portion of the audience. And I can for sure say that if I was a student, I would want that because I think it's immensely helpful. But you don't have to frame it as this is your session where you learn critical thinking. You also don't learn how to think. It develops. You have your neurons and you think. And now it's a matter of discipline, sorting out thoughts, having an argument or a fact or a statement, phrasing it. So using language that's even more difficult in STEM where English is not the first language. Like for me, it's not my first language. It's obviously the second language. You can hear this very well. And that's always also a barrier if you are in an international lab environment. On so many levels, neither of us is perfect because it's not the mother tongue. Even in our mother tongue, it's difficult to be a good critical thinker. But let me come back to what I mean with drawing and writing. So if you have the opportunity to teach a class in a lab course environment and there is an assignment to write a lab report, that's something that I do teach, then do not just have the lab course and let them pipe it and figure out buffer solutions and make notes. While they are in the lab, also stimulate the writing process already. You can do this, for example, by just using a piece of paper and a pen and let them write down each individually the method of agarose gel electrophoresis from what they have remembered after they have done it twice. I think everybody can do it after doing it twice and having read about it once. But students often don't trust their abilities and that's why they are unsure. So that helps immensely to let them write it down in 4 sentences, give them 5 to 10 minutes, that's plenty of time. And then it's important to put them in a group of 3-4 people, let them exchange what they have written. That's why it's good to have it on paper or let them exchange the laptops if it's done electronically and compare what one has written and maybe the other not, where it's too long, where it's too minimalistic, too short, where there are gaps. Just compare and learn from each other. And that gives the opportunity to talk about what was written. And that's the starting point. It seems silly to do this with a method which is fixed and there is a certain order of steps involved. But I think this is a good starting point because you're not hyped about I have to think critically about how to cure cancer, heal the world. Those big questions are big questions, or the philosophical big questions. They are too big. They distract from practicing the habit of challenging your own thoughts and challenging your own output of these thoughts. And the best output is written on a piece of paper, because there you cannot change it anymore. You cannot trick yourself. You know what you wrote because it's there on the piece of paper. And then, first of all, it's easier if someone else challenges you, so that's the part of the teacher, but then encourage the students that they can be their own critic. They can be their own teacher for critical thinking. All these things are very difficult to learn, And for many of us researchers, it's a lifelong learning curve. There comes in now the sketching. So what I encourage the students to do when they are coming to the lab and I supervise them, and when I teach them in class, is to start with a sketch. If you can do a simple sketch, A, arrow, B, and then a question mark on the arrow, that's so helpful because it orders the thoughts. It gives a direction how to think in an ordered way to describe A, arrow, question mark, B, and that can get more complex. If you cannot put a thought in a simple schematic, it will be difficult to talk about it, write about it. We don't have to go now back to the Greeks and to logic, and I'm not an expert in that either. I know that there are videos out there that describe all this, where it comes from, citations. That's not my place to do that. I'm just telling you how I think we can teach it, the critical thinking part. So in a nutshell, critical thinking for me is challenging your own thoughts and the thoughts of others. And the tools are talking, drawing, and writing about it. So my opinion is that to teach critical thinking, you have to help the student to get the thinking out of their heads. That's it, not more. It's that easy. I would be really curious what you think about critical thinking, how to teach it, can everybody learn it? What's your opinion? Tell me your story. Tell everybody your story. Because I think many things in academia are made too complicated when they are so ridiculously easy.